Smith, First Take, Big Perk, all together came on today and gave huge compliments towards Caitlin Clark, huge praise. And not only there, they were on Twitter as well, giving love to Caitlin Clark, and people seem to not like it, man.
She's Caitlin Clark. She put on a show in her old stomping grounds in Iowa versus Brasilia.
At Thanksgiving dinner, Stephen A. Smith just blew out like your uncle. However, it had nothing to do with LeBron or the Cowboys this time. Nope. Caitlin Clark's potential to win MVP as a rookie was the main focus. Yes, Stephen A. went all Shakespeare meets ESPN, making the most bizarre and amusing case ever while yelling, raving, and undoubtedly perspiring through a suit. Stephen A. may shout you into agreement if Caitlin isn't your MVP yet, so fasten your seatbelt.
Expectations of Caitlin Clark this season.
Man, Stephen A., she is just different. She's special. Just a different type of electricity, man. Did you hear the roar of the crowd while that shot was in flight? Like, I'm expecting big things from her, especially MVP type conversation thing.
Stephen A. Smith is a multifaceted individual. Subtle is not one of them. They are loud, passionate, and averse to quiet. His monologues are more of an auditory earthquake than a discourse. And Caitlin Clark, the epicenter of the earthquake this time. Indeed, the WNBA's newest walking bucket, logo sniper, and part-time ego crusher has caused Mr. Volume Level 100 to erupt into verbal fireworks, demonstrating why she could be this season's MVP.
Including this three-pointer that was deeper than the three she hit when she broke the all-time NCAA scorer record. Big Perk, what are your expectations for Caitlin Clark this season?
Man, Stephen A., she is just different. She's special. Just a different type of electricity, man. Did you hear the roar of the crowd while that shot was in flight? Like, I'm expecting big things from her, especially MVP type conversation things. Like, I think she's ready. She know it's her second year. She know what type of physicality is going to take. Look like she's always in great shape, never afraid of the moment. Again, we're talking about Caitlin Clark here. The spotlight been on her for years. She's not going to shy away from it. I expect her to be in the MVP conversation.
Well, let's remember this. Last year, in her rookie campaign, it was immediately after she had gone to the national championship game in the NCAA tournament, and then less than 2 months later, she's got a WNBA season where she started and played all 40 games, finished as a unanimous Rookie of the Year, all WNBA first team, finished fourth in league MVP voting, and then I'm looking at the regular season leading.
Let's face it, Stephen A. is more than just a talker. No, this dude is a performer. He doesn't get together to talk about basketball. He throws logic around like confetti, yells rhetorical questions at the furniture, and holds the table hostage. You could tell it was only a matter of time until Smith produced a full-fledged theatrical performance about Caitlin Clark when she joined the WNBA and began casually driving from the zip code next door. And he really did deliver.
All rookies in scoring, field goals made, three-point field goals made, assists, steals, and minutes. She's the real deal. Make no mistake about it.
Stephen A. stated what we all already knew but were too afraid to say out in a magnificent, caffeinated burst of syllables, finger jabs, and dubious comparisons. That girl may be Caitlin Clark, MVP caliber. The kind of give me the dang ball and get out of the way player who causes front offices to regret every draft selection made before her and seasoned defenders to second-guess their life decisions.
What does she mean to women's sports?
I just think that she's elevating the profile of women's sports in a way that most women should deeply appreciate. She's a phenomenal player. She's a phenomenal shooter. I call her the Steph Curry of women's basketball. I've been calling her that since last year.
And yet, like a man under the influence of the basketball gods, he was dissecting it. She's a superstar, and it's not just the points. You could almost hear the ESPN cameras recoil when he leaped into his hot take with the grace of a rhino performing ballet. He most likely broke a microphone and frightened a few producers. However, the message is very clear. Logo threes are being drained by her like layups. Additionally, she's using peanut butter to make defenders appear to be moving in slow motion. It's not overstated. That's only Tuesday for Caitlin Clark. This is not to suggest that Stephen has suddenly had a revelation. The dude has been on the Caitlin Clark hype train for longer than most of us have been familiar with the WNBA, so let's not pretend otherwise. Our dreams had a 4-point arc. He's been supporting her as if she were the second coming of Steph Curry, complete with better TikTok angles and a dash of Sue Bird's court vision and Diana Taurasi's competitive fury.
You want to promote the sport. You put that girl up in there, and people were appalled at that notion.
But
that was
Stephen
the
A.,
subject.
However, this is where things really started to get dramatic. Smith's suggestion that Caitlin Clark might win MVP wasn't made lightly. No. He made it very evident that she ought to be MVP at the moment. That is to say, with a true superstar abusing professional athletes, why are we even having this argument about MVP? It wasn't merely a recommendation. It was a pronouncement, a daring statement that reverberated over the radio with the authority one would anticipate from someone who has witnessed every sport in history and understands what greatness looks like. As if to say, forget waiting, Smith's statements practically sent the conversation into a different realm. Take a look at this situation. It was an obvious implication. Caitlin Clark wasn't only there to compete. She arrived to assume control. She came to change the game and make people reconsider what it meant to be this dominant. All of a sudden, the MVP controversy wasn't just some theoretical, dubious topic for sports enthusiasts. It developed into a full-fledged manifesto shown on television. Millions of screens seemed to be suddenly illuminated with a kind of burning fervor typically associated with political contests and playoff sports.
What's crazy is you had Monica McNutt, Andrea, Shanae, all on the panel right before the game, and they had a graphic, an interesting graphic that popped up showing that Caitlin Clark had the best odds to win the MVP this year.
Why limit yourself to MVP though? To be honest, that may be underestimating it. Let's pause to fully appreciate how ridiculous Caitlin Clark's debut season has been. This is more than simply a promising beginning. Data experts are rocking back and forth in a corner, muttering about efficiency ratings and true shooting percentages in this statistical fever dream. She's grabbing rebounds like she has magnets in her hands, giving out assists with the dexterity of a surgeon, and scoring points like she's cultivating VC in a video game. Not to mention the fractured ankles. Because of her breakthrough, several defenders now have lifetime appointments for physical therapy. She appears to be using cheat codes while she plays the game, arriving in the parking lot as if it were her natural right. Her range is insulting. Her poise under duress was surgical. You believe she was created at a top-secret government facility with the goal of producing the ideal basketball player. Steph Curry, Diana Taurasi, and a heartless murderer in equal measure. This is the kind of rookie campaign that burns expectations and rewrites the rules.
So let's start with our 2025 WNBA MVP, and that has to go to the one and only Caitlin Clark. You can say I'm glazing, you can say I'm hyping her up too much, but I truly think that this second year for Caitlin Clark is going to be like nothing we have ever seen.
Caitlin Clark is more than simply a budding celebrity. She's the kind of force that makes you question whether the WNBA secretly chose to introduce a generational cheat code into the league in order to upend the status quo. She is redefining what it means to be a rookie. After a terrible 2 for 111 shooting night, most rookies are expected to struggle a little, possibly get lost in a few defensive rotations, or even get benched. But no, Caitlin. She arrives, drops 30, nails a buzzer beater, and goes on to sign autographs for sobbing kids while destroying defensive plans created by mortgaged grown-ups. When Stephen A. noticed this, he took the appropriate action. He blew up. But let's not overlook this moment's true genius. He wasn't merely complimenting her. He was praising her with the intensity of a man attempting to lead a gospel choir, cook a Thanksgiving dinner, and win a debate all at the same time, roughly 3 octaves above normal volume. You thought he was going to float at one point.
You got a girl here who's box office in Caitlin Clark. She is box office. We can lament it all we want to, but the fact of the matter is Caitlin Clark is box office. And we got to get that out the way. And I'll get into all of that a little bit more in just a second because it's very, very important that we point this out. She fills seats. She brings the cameras. She brings national publicity. It's what she
Naturally, the comparisons followed because, let's be honest, Stephen A. Smith can't spend 5 minutes without bringing up some legendary name as if it were an uncontrollable reflex. The holy trinity of basketball illusions are Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan. In an attempt to get the ideal lineup, Stephen A. raced through them like he was speeding through my NBA 2K team cards. He didn't miss a beat. As he listed the names of basketball legends from every era, you could practically hear him mentally counting the stars. Here's the problem, though. None of that was necessary for Caitlin Clark. She had no desire to conform to the legacy or mold of another person. She didn't have to be the next Bird or the next Miracle. Caitlin wasn't attempting to meet some legendary benchmark. She won't be the next big thing. No, she is the original Caitlin Clark. And that's more than sufficient. Rewriting the game for herself, she is forging her own route, 1 3-inch at a time. The parallels are lovely, but they don't tell her tale. She's making her own. To be honest, that is far more thrilling.
talking about her. And who's to say they ain't gonna lose again and not win a championship? We're still talking about her. Remember, when Bird and Magic, as phenomenal as they were, the champions that they were, there came a point where despite the greatness of them as individuals and the greatness of their teams collectively with the Hall of Famers they were playing with, we were still talking about Jordan. Before he won the title, Tim, am I lying? Wendy, am I lying? We were talking about him. When's his time? Because we were clamoring for it. And I'm telling you, that's what people, when it comes to women's basketball, are going to be doing with Caitlin Clark, especially.
There is truth hidden beneath all that drama. Even though Stephen A. was viciously abusing his co-hosts and cramming every sports cliche into his assessment of Caitlin's brilliance. Actual reality. Clark is more than just a scorer. Wrapped in a headband and fire, she is a floor general, a playmaker, a shot creator, a crowd magnet, and a stat-padding unicorn. Now, without some insane metaphors, it wouldn't be a Stephen A. rant. He compares her range to missile systems in an instant. He then discusses how defenders appear to have entered a horror film starring Caitlin Clark. He's not incorrect, let's face it. It's like witnessing someone defuse a bomb with 0.8 seconds remaining when you watch Caitlin Clark play defense during a fast break. She is both everywhere and nowhere. She's already 3 moves ahead of you, if you blink. She has already uploaded the highlight video by the time opponents notice she has the ball. It's true that the MVP discussion calls for a little more than just brilliance. Leadership, impact on team performance, consistency, and so forth.
This girl is a superstar. I've been saying it for years. I keep telling everybody she's the Steph Curry of women's basketball, college or pro. She is a superstar.
However, Triple highlighted the boxes that Caitlin had checked. With her, her team achieves greater success. Opponents devise strategies to thwart her. Networks adjust their timetables to accommodate her. She is an economy, not simply a player. Not to be overlooked are ticket sales. Since Lisa Leslie was dunking in slow motion, the WNBA hasn't had this level of excitement. People believed that to be the pinnacle. It takes 2 security officers and a tiny miracle to breathe in Caitlin's approximate vicinity while she's in town. Naturally, when victory is announced, the skeptics emerge like cockroaches. However, they complain that she is a novice. They whisper, holding their 1998 autographed bobbleheads, she hasn't earned it yet. Stephen A. responded to that with the verbal equivalent of a napalm strike. MVPs are determined on their impact rather than their age. And a crater is being left by Caitlin Clark.
Year. And to speak to her, to be around her, she's got charisma, she's got style, she's got bravado, she's got class, she's smart as hell. Communicates her thoughts very, very well. She is so incredibly marketable that what she is doing on the collegiate level, her coming into the WNBA, you could just feel, I don't want to use the word resentment at all because it's not fair to women basketball players out there who may have critiqued her. But what I'm saying is that when you're talking about her greatness, it is perfectly okay for those who have been great to say, okay, let's see what you've got.
MVP might as well be an acronym for Most Valuable Problem this season. For every opposition coach, she is just that. She drains a 30-foot high with the smirk of someone who knows they own the arena despite their lack of sleep, early aging, and spontaneous defensive tactics. Stephen A. exploded, not simply went off. The man was yelling as if Caitlyn had personally dunked on his taxes. However, there was admiration hidden beneath each outburst of dramatic over-enunciation. What Caitlyn Clark is doing is unique. Even Smith, a professional shout measure, was unable to stop it. Let's also discuss the vibes. The aura, the Caitlyn Clark effect, you know. All of the away games are suddenly sold out because they cover every Clark warm-up routine as if it were the Super Bowl halftime performance. ESPN's cameramen have a first-name rapport with the crowd. In order to stay out of a meme, they are switching assignments mid-aim.
I love this woman. I really do. I love this young lady. I had the pleasure of doing an event with her, during Iowa's homecoming, because my man Mark Shapiro for WNBA took me down there, and we were a panelist. 10,000 people showed up. It was absolutely phenomenal. This girl is the best in the world.
Stephen A. Smith, meantime, is experiencing what can only be called a full-blown religious experience back on ESPN. His voice is rising to a level that is only comparable to an angelic chorus. The man is speaking with a kind of passion that could move mountains, or, at the very least, send your TV into a brief panic mode as his pitch reaches levels not legally permitted for daytime television. If the Angels were high on caffeine and had just witnessed the most astounding play of their celestial existence. You can almost hear Molly Quarham shifting uneasily in her chair and adjusting her earpiece, as though she's attempting to get away from Stephen A.'s intense sound. The sheer intensity causes a coffee mug to spontaneously catch fire somewhere in the studio. The problem is that his message is quite obvious. Caitlyn Clark's name ought to be in all caps on your MVP ballot if you watch basketball, comprehend the game, and genuinely believe in those infrequent, spectacular moments that make the sport legendary. This is a sermon, not merely an endorsement. This sermon is on fire, brother.
Caitlyn Clark is coming. Some people think she's already arrived. I don't. I think she's going to be even better. And I think that what she has done for women's basketball, especially in this country, has been phenomenal. There is no woman, no matter how great you were as a player.
This is not an anomaly. It's not hype. This player is altering the league's climate. Twitter for the WNBA is ablaze. Stats are being disputed by fans as if they were a custody dispute. And other teams are substituting treatment with highlight tapes of Caitlyn nonchalantly disparaging defenders. Despite everything, Caitlyn Clark continues to score as if it were a natural part of her body. Grinning as if she hasn't just destroyed your chances of making the playoffs, she still finds time to provide 10 assists because, well, why not? Instead of requesting flowers, she drops 35 and allows the bouquets come in the mail. Stephen had just so happened to give his in the form of an impassioned TED lecture that, for some reason, had more yelling than most car collisions. Look, there's a lot of competition for MVP. Legends continue to cook. There are still people like Wilson and Breanna Stewart. However, Caitlyn's actions are seismic. It combines the roles of Rookie of the Year, MVP, All-Star, Slam Poet, and Pyrotechnician.
Because when she came into the WNBA, for 22 plus years, they had been flying commercials. They were begging for chartered flights. She arrives there, and 2 weeks later, they got chartered flights. She automatically and instantaneously improved the conditions. Attendance is still lagging. WNBA is still losing money compared to what you would hope it would earn, but clearly things are on an upward trending trajectory. It's improving, and she has everything to do with it. Attendance for Indiana Fever games? Are you kidding me? WNBA draft, games on ABC, ESPN, television ratings. She's directly responsible.
Stephen wasn't mistaken, even though it seemed like he was attempting to call forth Zeus with every word. The real deal is Caitlyn Clark. And if that bothers you, get ready to be outclassed by a novice whose notion of a lighthearted game entails warping space and time. Thus, As the season progresses and the arguments intensify, Stephen the MVP award is about more than just legacy, so keep that in mind as A continues to break beyond the sound barrier. It's almost here. Additionally, Caitlin Clark is currently the WNBA universe's gravitational center. If you're still not convinced, wait till the next time she pulls up from half court, gives the camera a wink, and smiles while nonchalantly dismantling your case. Because Caitlin Clark may already be the M if Stephen A. Smith, the human foghorn, Lord of Hot Takes, and Mayor of Max Volume, can put aside his dramatic flair long enough to acknowledge it.